We all have a personal brand. Whether you like it or not, when people think about you, there's certain things that will come to mind about you. And that's sort of the brand that you're already communicating to the world. Welcome to the Personal Branding Podcast with me, Olive Gachara. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an image and brand consultant at IWO Consultancy, where we offer individual consultations and corporate workshops on professional image, business etiquette, customer communication, government protocol, as well as cultural intelligence and personal branding, of course. You can find out more about our services on www.iwo.co.ke. We decided that it's really important to have this conversation, a conversation around how you, the listener or the viewer, can be able to learn or pick up on a few tools to implement in your personal and professional life as you're working or as you're going down that journey of personal development. Why personal branding? I think personal branding has become the in phrase right now. Everybody is talking about how they want to develop their brands, which I think is fantastic. Because if I think about it, maybe 15 years ago when I was starting my career as an image consultant, actually it's more than 15 years ago, and you're trying to tell people the importance of personal branding, it's like you're speaking a completely different language. But now I like the fact that everyone has sort of aligned and realized the importance of having a strong personal brand. The term personal branding is actually very heavy and it's a bit difficult to explain or unpack completely, but I shall try and do my best, so work with me. I think the best way to describe personal branding, or the best way to help people understand what personal branding is your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Personal branding is about the memory that you leave in people's minds after every interaction. Personal branding is making sure that you're able to differentiate yourself and communicate that thing that makes you different to everybody else. Personal branding is about finding out that thing that makes you unique, that thing that makes you special, and finding ways to communicate it to the rest of the world. We all have a personal brand. Even you, as you're listening to this or as you're watching this, you have a personal brand. There's that thing that people think about when they're thinking about you, Jane, when they're thinking about you, Matthew. So the personal branding process is not really about trying to create something from nothing. There's already ways people perceive you. And the best way to start is to find out how people perceive you so that you can be able to know how to move on from there. A lot of times when clients tell me that they want me to help them with their personal brand, the next question is, how long will it take? Is it going to take a month? Is it going to take 2 months? What's the time commitment? But the thing about personal branding is that it's not finite. I'd like to think that personal branding is a journey, not a destination. Once you start building or developing your personal brand, you will find that it's something that you always want to tweak and improve as you go. For example, I like to use myself as an example because I've had to tweak my personal brand quite a bit as I get older, as I develop in my career. So when I started my first business, it was a modeling agency. I remember I was a young girl, only 19 years old, and I had no idea what personal branding was. I quickly got to be seen or to be known as the source of models or that person in the fashion industry. People think about Olive and they think about fashion. My career then merged or developed into becoming a fashion stylist. I do remember I dabbled with makeup artistry and it was going to be either or, until one day I think I lost my makeup kit and I thought that was a sign from the universe that this should take this other direction. So I went on to become a fashion stylist and worked for various publications and magazines. And of course, that reinforced my brand as a fashionista or somebody in fashion. In fact, it was so much so that some people thought I was a fashion designer. But anyway, as I was thinking through life, as you're getting older, you're trying to do something that will have more longevity, for lack of a better word. I went and studied image consultancy and came back now as an image consultant. And I realized that I needed to rebrand from being seen as a fashion person or as a fashionista or as a fashionpreneur to be seen as a consultant, especially since a lot of the work that I was anticipating to get was going to come from the corporate world. And unlike now, back then, if you're in the creative industry, in the creative field, people don't take it that seriously. I'm glad that now they do. So my biggest challenge was, how do I then repackage myself so that people can start seeing me as a consultant and not as a fashionpreneur? Luckily, my image consultancy course had a lot of information and tools on how we can brand ourselves or how we can create our brands as image consultants, and even how we can start our image consultancy businesses. So those tools that I was able to learn or that I picked up on were very critical in helping me rebrand, so that I'm not just seen as a fashionista, fashionpreneur, but people can see me as an image consultant and as a serious business person. Then I started Gachara Africa magazine, which is East Africa's first and only fashion magazine. And I think it came about because I had all this information in my head about fashion and beauty and skincare tips and all the stuff that you would read in a fashion magazine. So I thought, let me start a fashion magazine. Most consultants write books. I started a magazine. So about personal branding, what did that mean? I needed to then restructure or recreate my brand so that I'm not just seen as a consultant, but I'm also seen as a publisher. As you go through the journey of life, you find that you have different needs or want to be seen in different ways at different points in your life. And that's what personal branding is about. It's really about being intentional about how people are perceiving you, even as you're walking through the different phases of your life. Through this podcast, we shall give you different tips, tricks, and tools that you can use to also become intentional about creating your own personal brand. I like to say that life is not just about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. So I hope that you enjoy walking this journey with me. And don't worry, I will not just be talking to you by myself. We shall also have conversations with key thought leaders, people who have been able to create strong personal brands, so we can understand their journey and see how we can best implement it for ourselves. Whatever profession you're in, whether you're a banker, a creative, an artist, if you're in the fashion industry, if you're a farmer, I think that this personal branding podcast shall be of value to you, as it shall teach you how you can be able to package yourself and maximize your capabilities for success. So I hope you enjoy working with me for the next couple of weeks or months or years. Let's see how long this thing goes for. And if you have any questions or if there's anything specific that you'd like us to touch on, feel free to put them in the comments below, and we shall definitely make sure that we circle back to them. Thank you once again for tuning in to the Personal Branding Podcast with me, Olive Gachara, and I look forward to engaging with you in the chats, in the comments, on our website, and on social media.